How much lead does the setup produce compared to the old one? Yeah, way more. I mean, you're literally comparing the lead dust to the high grade lead. It's massive, massive, massive. So, previously, previously, uh, let's see. This was the previous build. Previous build, in total, if nothing was going to silver ever, would have made 48.22. It looks like. So this is previously on this build, and then compare that to the new build. Oh, and it also, if all of this lead dust was going into silver, yeah, less than 1 per second lead silver. Just casually 48.22 versus less than 1 silver in the end. Compare that to the new build, which is over here, which, yeah, makes 4785-ish, or 50.24. It's net 4785 because of the loop back in here of the lead, and 8.04 silver up to like 19-ish. And then, of course, if the silver is backed up, you can double that lead plate count as well. So it's a lot. It's a lot more than double, or about double on the lead plates capacity if everything was going into lead plates, and factor of 19 difference going into the silver. If I look over here, it was 1.75 silver. It looks like. So if all of the lead dust was going into silver, it would be silver that much less than 2 silver. If it was all going into lead, it would have been 48.22 lead. So now I can get both together for about a little bit less than this much net lead and all the silver ever. Big, big difference going up to high grade. Big, big jump. One of the biggest jumps in efficiency is going into high grade. Now all I need to do over here is just be like, hey, I no longer need this lead dust to go that way. All of it can go out here. And just as long as these trains keep running, keep operating, just as long as all this operates on these inputs, as long as I always have the cyanic and the phosphorus acid and the borax and the coal and the sulfur and the tin chromium alloy and the lard and the nichrome and the filtration media and the salt and the natural gas and the coke and the oil, it'll be fine. As long as I have all of those things as side inputs and stuff for side inputs, it will be glorious. Now, that is that done. We can tick that off. It is completed. We have completed high grade lead and silver. Celebration times. It's glorious. I can now fully fuel the demand for silver for all of my biotic products that I'm currently making. Doing all of the cub raising and all of that good stuff. So, circuit factories are on the agenda at some point, along with the high-grade copper. If I do set up the high-grade copper, I should have in here this. So this is what I'm doing right now. This is what I have right now for my copper production. I have 67.93 copper plate production capacity at the moment. This is what currently exists. let's see, from here. Oh, and plus 12.66. So it's both of this. So I have, just casually 80.58 total capacity on copper plates production, which is a value greater than what I would need for my circuits factory. So do I really need to do that upgrade to high grade? Probably not. In fact, it would be easier to take this whole factory and upgrade it to Mark II and double my mining drills. And that would just double everything, right? Just Mark II all of this and increase the input to 150 and just be done with it. Seems like an easier thing to do. Uh, the the thing about the high grade processing, I'll do like from grade 4, 16.18. We'll go and we'll start a new thingy. Copper. Do a search for copper, go into raw ores and grab the grade. The next step after grade 4, which should be one of you. Where is the grade 4 ingredient? That's the grade 4 product. Where's the grade 4 ingredient? There it is. So, what was that number again? It was 16.18. Remember that we need to add 12.66 at the end. That's not going to change. Actually, it might. Does this loop? Does this loop? I think this loop. 16.18. Ingredient input. That makes... Oh, that does, like, all the further steps, right? Because copper is... bleh. Because copper is... bleh. Control that one. Huh? Oh, right. What? It wants to use all of the solution here. I think that needs to be at the end. There we go. That's the proper stuffs. No, it's not. What? Matrix. There you go. That's better values. See, that's a lot. By the way, it's a lot. This all goes into copper pregnant leach solution that then goes into the high grade processing. This uses acid solvent and some grease as its primary sources of input and a bunch of salt. Yes, ton of acid solvent. Ton of acid solvent for this to get into high grade, and then from high grade into molten, into plates. So if we want to like compare just the sheer plate value here, this is 152.1 by doing this for plates, and that is a freaking ton of borax. Wow, that is a lot of borax. Holy crap, that's a lot of borax. That is, I would need to scale my borax. I would need to produce more borax, frankly, if I really wanted to do this. 50.7 grease and 253.5 on the acid solvent. Now, I am on ingredient input, which is problematic because it won't actually tell me what it takes to get the 153 acid solvent. Or 253.5. It won't actually let me set that. It won't let me do it, which is sad. It won't tell me the ingredient inputs. Now this is hydrogen peroxide, sulfuric acid, and iron oxide. So let's just take a look and see, like, 152.1 versus 67.93. And yeah, still a lot of borax. Still a lot of borax. Oh boy. No, not 80 total. No, we're always going to get this 1266, this 12.66. This is always going to be there. So it would be the 152.1 plus 12.66 on top of it by going this route. So we're comparing the 152 versus the 68. 152 versus 68. So, you know, a factor of 2.5 ish, 2.5 ish. 3 would be like 190 ish, 196. So about 2.5. Get rounding generously. As opposed to doubling this, it's a little bit less output, yes. But if we double this, if we Mark II all of this and bring in 150 copper ore per second, we actually double this value as well of this 12.66. So yes, less overall, but and likely more borax. Well, definitely more borax consumed overall from it. But I think that would be an easier build. However, I'm still producing way more copper than I initially was expecting or thinking that I was. I completely forgot I was making this much copper. Up to that much copper. That is a significant how much copper is being made there. So I don't think I have to worry. Like, that is probably just going to be the very end of my to-do list, is any sort of upgrade on the copper. Circuit 1 factory. Is it something that I really want to do right now? Probably not. But it does need to be on the agenda. This Circuit 1 factory, Circuit 2 factory, Circuit 3 factory at some point. But I would definitely like to look into moving on with some additional creatures as part of the original agenda, of which we've got 2, technically 3, because also Fat Eye and also, you know, Arcod and all that other good stuff. Phagnots. The Phagnots. Yeah. These guys are good at producing bones. If I go into Helmod, we can look at bones. Bones! Let us have a look at bones. So, Ulrics make 4. Augs make 3. Muckmo make 3. Arthurians make 4. Scrondrix make 4. Fat Eye make 2. 8 fish make 2. Dingrits are 2. Phagnots are 6. These guys are 6 on the bones. Xenos are 3. Although, do Xenos even have bones? I like they have exoskeletons, so why would they have an internal skeleton as well as an external skeleton? Like they yeah. Hmm. Interesting choices. Let's see. So Trits make 4. The Korlax are 3. 6 Cotton Guts into 5. And that is it. That is it. So, yeah. The Phagnots, they win. They win this particular category. And of course, as the upgrades happen, they produce a lot more. As we get into purple science, and I can pick up this recipe, uh, it'll immediately improve the output dramatically from 6 to 11, nearly doubling the output for free, right? So that's the great thing about getting into purple science, why we need to get into purple science about as quickly as possible. Let's see. I have been targeting a 30 per second on all of these various animal products thus far. In this case, it would be 5 caged Phagnots per second. Oh boy. Oh boy. 5. That is a significant number. Let's have a look at the cubs, because theoretically the cubs are better. So let's look at what it would take to raise some cubs. 4, 4, 4, 4, 4, etc. They are all going to give me 4 cubs and only change the time. Until we get into pheromones, in which case then it will give 6 cubs once I get into pheromones at purple science. I think is when these will unlock. Yes, the rest will go to waste because I don't really want to deal with that level of logistics stuff. So what scale do I want is ultimately the question. Uh, looks like there's no way around betting. Like no way around betting at all. 140 seconds versus 80. That's a big difference, but that's also quality food, and quality food can rot in hell. Uh, regular food. Let's not do raw fiber. I'm okay with salt. I'm okay with salt's existence. What is, like, how painful is the regular Phagnot food? And I should look at Mark 2s on these, add in the modules. I don't know if the breeding program for Mark 2s exists yet, but anyway. So 61. Not too bad number on building count. So the recipe that I use here only affects building count. That's what we need to keep in mind. It only impacts building count on here. So that that's just by nature of these recipes only impacting crafting time and not output on cubs. So this is going to require some plastic, ash, Relesia seeds, Tufra seeds, Bodos, Thalagi, raw fiber, guar, tin, and steam. Okay. I have been meaning to do a Relesia factory. I have a Tufra factory I've got. That's fine. I can ignore that. I can also semi-ignore the Thalagi. Semi-ignore the Thalagi. Don't I have Mark II of these by now? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. Need to look. It's the Bodos that'll be the slightest of issues. ever so slight issue on the Bodos. I don't know, it just seems like with Bodos, because they only need the biomass and water, like they... Do I not have a Bodos? I guess not. 30. Number 30. Give me bajillions on... excuse me, I said bajillions on Bodos. Yes, 8,000 machines. More like 191. Just casually. 191. If they were Mark II, it'd be 97. See, this is why I wanted this as separate build. Separate build for Bodos. Bodos might be the first time I do consider doing that fungal substrate. Cough, cough, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Because I'm pretty sure I don't have that many. I do not have that many. So choices are, do I use the Phagnot food recipe, or do I... Well, either way, I cannot get around Bodos, right? So the basic Phagnot recipe that does not use food does use Bodos instead. So there is no getting around needing Bodos for this build. So local or train network? Separate build or not? Most likely separate build. For the Bodos. I have the raw fiber. The guar realistically should have a separate build, but no. But no. We'll see what happens with guar once it does get the same treatment as all the other stuffs. Also, that needs to be marked II. Why does this constantly lose the default? It constantly loses the default Mark II on the slaughterhouses. It just, for some reason, this one machine. So yeah, that's a build with lots of trains. It's a closed loop cage system, which I like. Let's not forget the steam. Yeah, this is a pretty small build. Do I have a plastic build? I have completely forgotten. Where am I, like, doing augs with aug food? I don't think I'm actually... I do the plastic locally, don't I? I do. Right here. I've done the plastic locally. Like, what? Like, what? Like, this whole thing is for plastic. This whole thing here, right? I'm not like exaggerating that. It's ethylene, benzene, and steam. This is the benzene from coal water slurry. The ethylene is methane and pressured air, and this is the methane. Yeah, it looks like it's... Yeah, and it's also iron oxide, so I don't need the iron oxide. So I wouldn't need the iron oxide stuff for this. So it would be this. This stuff here with an iron oxide input on plastic. If I break that down, let's actually do that. Let's break that down. There's an acetone plastic. never would I ever consider doing that recipe because of the sulfuric acid requirement. Like, no. That's the one. That's the one right there. Uh, benzene, of course, from coal, water, slurry, from tailings. Yeah. Definitely like that feature. Definitely like that feature. It was trying to give you, or give me all the water that I needed in here, but no. No, I don't need that. And then ethylene from, not Tholins. Ethylene from not Tholins sounds like a fantastic idea. From that stuff. That stuff. And that amount of things. That is such a low amount of methane that I don't even think I need the... Yeah. It's like, I don't even think I need the, doohickey CO2 part of that. This needs to be marked too. Wow, that's a lot of fluid separators. Wait, what? Huh? Excuse me, it's still... It's still doing the stupid water thing. Fluids. Water. There. We're sorted. There's your water. There's all your water. Ah, so that's the build. Minus the sand, soil stuff, I could do that. It would screw with my tailings a little bit, but not too much. And Bodos, of course, needs the biomass. It doesn't include the biomass, just because I haven't decided on the Bodos side of things yet. Bodos is probably going to be completely separate. This is what I think is the actual build, and Bodos will be an outside input brought in by train to feed this food. So there we go. Now, there is also the concept of gas bladders, but looking at these and looking at YAFC and its determination of what the cost of the gas bladders is, I don't think I'm going to use the gas bladders, to be completely honest. It seems a little bit... It is too expensive to make these guys and use the gas bladders for the purposes of basically they behave like Tholins. Just think Tholins, and that's the intended use case on gas bladders. Although there are some very interesting things you can use the gas bladders for, pertaining to helium in particular. I think I'll just do standard helium. I think I'll just do standard helium. So, yeah, that'll be that. However, first comes Bodos. Scaled Bodos. Because I am making a few of them. So what are the... Excuse me, hello, tech. Keep on going. Oh, thank you so much. Hello, Raid! Hello! Party of 16. Welcome to the last about half hour of this stream where I am in the process of planning out a build for Bones. That is what I am doing right now. I am in the process of planning out a build for Bones after having just finished my high grade processing. Yay. My high-grade lead and silver. I have finished the high-grade lead and silver at this point, and it is time to move on. So where even am I? I finished this piece, this beautiful piece of my factory on this day. Hello and welcome to the absolutely crazy and insane Phagnot factory. I am in the middle of going into bones, which is going to require all of this stuff for the bones. But right here on this little item called Bodos, that is what I am planning on upgrading, because I have a little bit somewhere right up here. I have a tiny little bit of Bodos being produced right here. Just a few. Just a couple. Just a couple of them. Right up here. I want to see about upgrading these. Now, most of these recipes are going to require improved or special fungal substrate. And urea. And manure. Okay, that's a bit much. For a +1? Duh. What? Yeah, let's totally have a +1. No. In what universe would it be worth spending 10 urea for a +1 on these Bodos? I don't think so. I don't think so. The moss is better, the manure is painful, but still. What's really painful though is the special fungal substrate. Hello! Welcome. Welcome. I am looking at Bodos and trying to decide what exactly I want to do here on the Bodos. Also, I need to decide like what my intended output is going to be on these. I'll probably be looking at a few different options. Yeah, 5? Yeah, it's always one more thing. Always one more thing. So, fungal substrate. Yeah, it's urea. It's not a ton of urea in this particular case. Why did I not set this to be by default that? That is a few of these buildings. Wow. Pretty sure I am not making the Mark IIs right now. Let me have a look at them all. Hello, mall. Where are the Bodos buildings? Somewhere in here. Somewhere on this top section. Bodos, where are the Bodos? There's Faugi. There you are. So yeah, no, I'm not doing the Mark IIs yet on the Bodos, which is a little sad. So there's that. Using the fungal substrate. We can basically ignore the biomass for the moment. That there's easy ways to take care of that in particular. And then the spores, it's just space on things. That doesn't actually count. What counts here is this substrate, which apparently is logs rather than wood. Which is apparently logs instead of wood. Like, oh, okay. Logs? Now, going deeper into the abyss as we copy and go next door and paste this and do the intended 5 output. Actually, I need to begin again from scratch because it's going to be a new recipe. Bodos. Let's look at the better, quote unquote, better recipe setup here that I'd be willing to do. Any better recipe that I'd be willing to do. Let's look and compare the best improved, this one at 5 per second. This goes down to 98. Alright, what does it take to do this? Bones! It takes bones. Guess what we're using this for? Hey, it's bones. We are totally making a whole bunch of Bodos to be used to make bones. That's why I'm looking at this. So to see that the bones are required here is just pure pie, right? It's like this is definitely a thing that constantly will appear in the pie suite. You will always have this happen to you where the thing that you're trying to make is required in the more efficient methods of trying to produce that thing. There's generally speaking some sort of loop involved, and here we go with bones being required in Bodos. Also, this is eventually going to change. This has been changed in the code, and the update has not been pushed live yet. It will give back empty petri dishes in this process of making this fungal substrate. So eventually, it will give you back some empty dishes, and we won't have to spend the glass anymore. Instead, it's spending the agar to make these petri dishes, which is fine. Okay. Now, is it going to be worth spending 5 manure per second for this? 1-to-1 on manure into Bodos. I don't know. Maybe. It is significantly less urea. So if I look at the one next door here, we can see that this is 1.5 urea versus 0.24. Big difference on the urea. But I don't think I particularly care, to be honest. Let's see, power, 140 something versus 40. Yeah, big difference in power between these two.